You have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. Downloadable audio episodes can be found in the podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. We are locally underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie. My name is James Kademan, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and helpful coach to small business owners across the country. And today we're welcoming / preparing to learn from Fatou Ceesay, owner of Cairasu Home Care. And I got to say, I'm excited because every time I meet with Fatou, and I've known you, oh my gosh, long time.
Yes.
But I never really knew much about your business. I guess I just knew you through networking and stuff like that. I didn't realize how big and cool your business is.
All right. Well,
So,
now you know.
No, I know. And soon the world will know. So let's get started. Let's just start with, what is Cairasu Home Care?
So, Cairasu, by the way, thank you for having me, and thank you for all you do to get small businesses out there.
Oh, I love it. It's fun.
Yeah. So, Cairasu Home Care has been 10 years now since we started it. It's an in-home care services for elderlies within Dean County.
All
So
right.
our main goal is to help our seniors stay in their homes for as long as possible, which we know majority of seniors want to do. So being there to help them with whether it's their personal care needs, their home chores, their medical appointments, making sure that they're taking their medications, things of that nature, things that will keep them safe at home.
All right.
Yep.
And I imagine you definitely have job or business security, really, because people keep coming to the Madison area or just everywhere, and people keep getting old, whether they like it or not.
We're all aging.
Here we are. Yeah. So it's interesting. How did you end up in this industry?
You know, it's interesting that you actually asked that, because this is not an industry that is familiar to me growing up. I'm from the Gambia, that's in West Africa.
Okay.
And there is no such thing as like in-home care or nursing home where professionals go into other people's places and work with them. So what we know there is families caring for families. And then I come here, and a family friend introduced me to home care. The way it happened was more of, oh, that's what she wanted to do because she moved in here. And she asked me, and I'm like, hey, I had no idea. I didn't even know that such things exist, So long story short, she found a job herself, which was in home care. She moved from a different state. So from the state that she was, that's what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And now when she got that job, she said, my company is hiring, and you should apply there. And I'm like, no, I don't know that I can do this at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and at the time I was actually working in a department store.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was doing. Very different thing. Although the customer service thing will follow you anywhere you go, but other than that, this one is healthcare. So, anyways, long story short, I applied for that job. I got it, and that was my introduction to working with elderly, and I loved it. Never turned back since.
All right. Well, you touched on a few points here. I want to touch on something that I guess it never even dawned on me. Were you in Africa? They don't have something like that, I imagine, because just extended family is just taking care of everyone. It's just a cultural norm.
It's a cultural norm that families take care of families. In fact, in a very, I don't want to say secretive way, but it's like it's protecting somebody's dignity in a way that, you don't want everybody coming to see all that is happening. I think, aging folks have challenges. So, for instance, let's use personal care, bathing, or taking someone to the bathroom. A lot of families would not want someone outside of their family to do that with their parents.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So in a way of protecting their dignity, that's what that is.
All right. You know, it's interesting you say that because my dad, I don't know, this is probably a year ago now. He was in the hospital he had a stroke.
Mhm,
And it was interesting. He gets out and he's still going through the physical therapy and stuff like that.
mhm.
And he told me, when you end up in the hospital, dignity is gone. Because he had to, I mean, he just couldn't
Yeah.
move the majority of his
Mhm.
body. So it's interesting how we try to go through life, you know, taking care of
Yeah.
ourselves, being independent, helping
Mhm.
other people where we can. You're worried about looks and stuff like that. And then something like that happens.
Happen, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, what was important to you
It's
minutes
no longer
ago
a thing.
doesn't, it's not even on the radar.
No,
So it's
no.
interesting how life changes so quickly
Yeah,
like that.
that is true.
So it had to be an interesting paradigm shift. And I guess I never even thought about it. I guess where when it comes to different cultures, the way that they treat or care for elderly. I mean,
Yeah.
because there's elderly people everywhere. So I guess it
Yeah.
only
I
makes sense
mean,
that it's different.
yeah. I mean, for culture, for our culture, it's more like this is what we should do. This is what we will do. It's a cycle of life.
All right.
Come in and somebody is taking care of you, and you get to a certain stage, you are independent, and you move on to your life, do everything. You get to a certain point, and you can do things, the ones that you cared for previously, and those people are coming back to your life to care for you. And I think that interdependence of family units, that's just the way it has been and still is. In my country, that didn't change. It didn't, because to this day there is no like, oh, this is a senior care living facility. No, we
Oh,
don't. There,
they don't
no,
have that.
no,
Oh,
we don't have
interesting.
that. So which means everybody ages in place, ages at home, and their families take care of them.
Wow.
So yeah.
All right. Interesting. So you come here to the States, your friend says, hey, do this thing that essentially you've never heard of or would
I
wonder
know.
why. And what was the driving force for you to say, sure, I'll leave the department store and do this? Was it curiosity? Was it taking care of people? Was like, tell me what was the initial attraction?
Well, when she's explained it, she explained to me what they do, and she think that I would do it. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. It's just a matter of wanting to try if I can do it, but also it's more of being able to help someone in that phase of life. you know I grew up with my grandparents around me, so
Okay.
I feel like, okay, let's give it a try and see. But like I said, I just completely loved it. I just completely love it.
All right.
And then for then from there, working for different agencies, different healthcare facilities. And then I've decided that, well, if this is what I'm going to be doing, I might as well get my own business. But
Mhm.
that also was triggered by a family that I work with that were my private clients. And they eventually moved to a facility, and the transition was very difficult, very emotionally demanding on them, and of course on everybody around them, because that wasn't what they wanted to do. They didn't want to move in there from their home, but their husband fall. He fell and then moved to he was taken to the hospital, from hospital to a nursing home. The family decided they were going to move their mom too. So this was a very challenging thing to work with them in that process. I thought, if I can help 1, 2, 3 people
Mhm.
stay at home, I will do that.
All
So
right.
that's how I launched Cairasu.
So when you launched Cairasu, or right before, I should say, did you have any desire to own your own business? Or you just
Oh,
felt like there's a
I
better way, so that caused you to start a business?
well, here's the thing. I came from an entrepreneurial background. like my family runs
Okay.
businesses, I should say. So even before I came to this country, I own my own business.
Oh,
So,
nice. Okay.
so owning this kind of business um, wasn't familiar because it's healthcare, but owning a business was a familiar territory. 'Cause-
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So being an entrepreneur, that wasn't new or anything like that. That was old
No,
hat.
that wasn't new.
Okay.
Going into this industry is new, but
Mhm.
being an entrepreneur wasn't new.
Gotcha. So there was no fear, I should say, on your end of starting a business specifically in this area because you had the experience, you had the entrepreneurial experience, and you're like, hey, chocolate peanut butter, here we go. Let's make a thing and get it going, kind of thing.
No, I wouldn't totally say it that way because,
Okay.
it's a different place too.
Sure.
Doing a business in Gambia is different from doing a business here. And doing any kind of business is different from being in healthcare business.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine the
Because
paperwork that is
that
involved.
comes with its own challenges.
Sure.
So yeah. So I wouldn't say that. I definitely get into the business with some confidence, but again with some anxiety as well.
All right. That's
What would-
fair. Fair. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
lack of fear. Maybe that was too strong. I guess maybe confidence that it could be done.
Yes.
All right. Got it. And so when you started your business, was it just you or did you get employees right off the bat? How did that
No,
work?
it was just me at the beginning.
All right.
Yeah, it was just me at the beginning. And then when I got a few more clients, then I added one part-time, and then it keeps growing to today. So
All right. So when you first started, was the intention to grow the business to the point that you have employees and you were managing them kind of thing?
oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
I love that you had growth in mind. That's perfect.
definitely. Yes.
Excellent. So well, let's back up a step. To get your first client, was this a client that you already had, family friend kind of thing? Or did
Yeah,
you have to do some marketing to get
that was a client that I already had.
Okay.
And then of course this other family that I had explained,
Mhm.
the families, their son is a doctor in one of the hospitals. So he was able to talk to his colleagues about what I do and how they were satisfied with me and my services to their parents.
Oh,
So
super
that
cool.
that opened up doors for people to get referrals to us.
All right. So imagine with a business like that, just like many other businesses, growth is somewhat of a roller coaster that's broadly going up, but there's still the point where you get some clients, you get a lot of clients. Now we're getting to the point that we're almost bursting at the seams. So we have to add an employee. So now we're a little cool. We have more work than, or I'm sorry, we have more people than we have work. And then we got to go back up. Same thing, rinse, repeat, up in kind of this jagged staircase, so to
I
speak.
like how you say rings repeat.
Rinse,
That's
repeat.
right.
Right?
Rings and repeat. Yeah.
All right. So
That's
when you
wonderful.
first got your employee, I imagine that had to be a challenge because just getting employees universally is a challenge, but you're asking someone to join the one person company, which I've been there too. Tell me
Mhm.
about that story, about how you found your first employee and how it worked out, keeping track of them, making sure they did the job while you were also doing your job.
That's right. So my first employee was within my inner circle. So I had approached her and said, I have more clients than I can do at this point. I'm looking to hire someone. And she said, I'm ready if you want to hire me. And I was like, sure. So we started that way, did our due diligence of how paperwork should be done, making sure that we're staying in compliance, because that is the part that was big for me, to be able to do it and do it right.
Mhm.
So we did all of what did we need to do, from background check to having documentation of, oh, we call this reference, this is what they said, having all those things lined up to ensure that the folder, the employee file, have everything that should go in. So yeah, that's how that went. Like I said, I didn't look back since.
All right. So I love that you created systems and documentation for when we add an employee, these are the steps that we need to take.
Mhm.
So it's not just flying by the seat of your pants every day. You know,
Oh,
like, hey, to add an employee, we got to do step number 1, 2, 3, move on, all that jazz. So that is super cool. I still find companies that have dozens of employees that don't have that.
well, I think it's different when you are an immigrant,
Okay.
because like me, I don't want to do anything wrong when it comes to government.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
When
Got it.
you're dealing with the system, you
Mhm.
better make sure that you're doing it right.
All
So
right.
I think that is, like that will be true for a lot of like immigrant companies that you will come across. They will try to do things to the T because they don't want to mess with the system that way.
Oh, all right. I never even considered that.
Well, because you're from here.
Sure. I never, well, yeah, I guess that and the industries that I've been in, it's so interesting because I talk to like my sister, for example, she does hair and she's moved around in states, and the hoops that she had to jump through in different states just to do hair blew
Mhm.
my mind. Cause I'm like, I'm going into places. This is before my first business. I was fixing printers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And to have a printer repair business, you pretty much just say that you have a printer repair business.
That's it.
And I think a lot of businesses are like that. With what you're doing, where you're going into people's houses, healthcare type stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, the
A whole
certifications
different,
and
it's a whole
oh my
different
God,
industry. It's a whole different
I
industry.
can't even imagine.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not much of a paperwork guy just because I have a very hard time concentrating on stuff like that. And the industry that you're in, I can imagine like to cross your T's, it's got to be difficult because I guess getting on a side tangent here, we have employees in different states.
Mm-hmm.
Just dealing with different states with their different payroll tax
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a state that I'm trying to pay payroll tax to. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have money. I'm trying to pay you money. For any other business in the world, they would make this relatively easy.
Yeah.
Because businesses live to bring in cash, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this particular state is like, we're going to put in more hoops for you to jump through to pay us. And I keep thinking, you don't need more hoops. I got the money. I want to pay you the money. Let me pay you the money.
Let's do it and get it done with. But
Yeah. So I can only imagine with you sometimes they don't even tell you there's hoops until you don't jump through them. And then
mm-hmm.
they say, why didn't you jump through this hoop? You say,
That's right.
I never knew about the hoop.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can imagine something like what you guys got going on until you've been doing it for a while.
Mhm.
You probably have to think like, or ask a bunch of people in government or wherever and just figure out what are the hoops that we have to jump through and when and how. And do we have to go face
Yeah,
first or feet first
and
or
it's
whatever?
not, it's definitely not a business where you just go from saying, oh, I want to open this and
Mm-hmm.
just go and do whatever paperwork you need to open it. No, there is a lot that's involved, background work that is done before you get to that point, including your business plan and dealing with licensing,
Yeah.
as far as accreditations, and you're going to be dealing with the system to approve that you can actually like do this and upgrade it and all that.
All right.
You
So
know,
when you've grown now, how many employees do you have?
I think 76.
76. Holy cow.
Yeah, yeah,
So over the course of 10 years, you went from you to 70 plus employees. That is
yeah,
crazy
yeah.
impressive.
Plus,
The clients that you're getting, is it still through referrals? Or how do you get a lot of your
so we
clients
get
now?
our clients in many different ways. Definitely referrals, people who knew us,
Mhm.
but we also get it from state, we get it from the VA because we
All
have
right.
the contracts. we get it from like other state county entities. So the Dane County, you know, the big systems were contracted with all of them.
All
So
right.
get our clients through that. Long-term care insurance is, you know.
And I
So
imagine for each one of those, you have to jump through hoops that they know you exist, they trust you, and they can start referring clients to you.
yeah, it all takes time. It's a process.
So at what point in your business did you have to start going from, I'm getting referrals, we got a few employees, we're going cool, to, hey, I have to broaden my broaden the industry's awareness of my existence so I can
Mhm.
get clients from other places. This interesting thing, I think from when I was talking to you before, the volume of people that need services like you have, and the
Mhm.
volume of businesses and employees that are actually taking care of people doing services you have, like there's a huge discrepancy where there's way more clients than they are actually businesses to help them. Is that
That
right?
is true. That is very true.
All right.
And that's worse now, I think.
Worse now.
Yeah, just because there is like a shortage in the industry for, I mean, there's worker shortage anyways
Mhm.
for all industry, but it's worse for healthcare. So you have all
Oh,
these people that need services, and then you're having to decline every single time because you don't have enough staff.
oof.
So yeah, so there is more people needing services than there is people providing services.
All right. So I guess realistically, does that mean that you could grow your business even more?
I could if I have the staff.
Oh, there's a little caveat
That's
there,
the catch.
right?
Yeah.
All we need is people. We can take care of more people, right? Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, yeah. Staffing is the limitation at this point.
All
It-
right. And has that always been an issue for,
It's
let's say,
getting bad. It wasn't as bad as it is now.
okay.
Definitely
And,
not.
and is that because of pandemic? Is that people are just getting out or not entering the industry? Or what do you attribute that to?
Well, I think is both the pandemic, but also the growth of how people are aging. There is a lot of aging people out there, but there is a lot of people who had either went to a different industry
Mm-hmm.
or had maybe started their own businesses of various things that staffing is now an issue, or maybe they're not working. Who knows? It's a
All right.
combination of different things.
Gotcha. So with this industry as a whole, I
Mhm.
mean, just the clients that you're taking care of, I imagine eventually pass. So you're
Yeah.
constantly having to get new
Yeah.
clients.
Hmm.
Is that a challenge at all?
That is the challenge about that is I always say when we lost a client, there is two losses that happens there. We lost someone we love
Mm-hmm.
because we get connected to our clients. Our services are very personalized, and those clients are part of our Cairasu family. And so that loss is there. We grieve that, but then we also lost the income that is coming from
Mm-hmm.
that services. Now, replacing that is not much of a thing, of a big problem now, as far as the income replacement, because, you know, I don't know if I told you this before, but we, especially during this pandemic, we were at a point where we have people on the wait list because we don't
Oh,
have
gotcha.
enough people. So you can always go back to either those on the wait list or your referral folks, entities, and say, hey, I have an opening. So if you have someone, and likelihood within like a day or two, you'll feel that.
Is that quick?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't know if that's good or bad. I feel like from
Yeah.
business wise, that's super good. But from a industry, I'm like, holy cow, that's a
Mhm.
huge wait list then.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Interesting. And what are the people like your clients? What are they doing in the meantime? So they're in this wait list. That doesn't mean that they're like, okay, I won't get sick
Yeah,
or
they will
old until
be.
you're ready.
I'm sure they are on different agencies' wait lists, because they will be also shopping around. So if anybody got opening, they will be calling you. There are times that you call a client and they already have services, which is
All right.
wonderful. That's what we want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. So if you were to do this differently, let's just say 10 years ago, or even let's go 9 years ago, right? After you got started and rolling, what are some things that you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
One thing that I would do differently is delegation.
Oh,
It took
interesting.
me,
Okay.
it took me time to delegate certain things. And I I think I always feel like I do this, I do it better,
All
you know.
right.
And then I don't I don't have as much of a, I don't know if this is the right word to say it, like confidence for somebody to take over that part and do
Sure.
it. So if I was to do anything, like if I was to do things all over, I think I would delegate sooner than I had waited. Now I delegate. Um,
Out of necessity, I suppose.
yes, I do. And I'm comfortable doing that now. But it took me a few years to get to a point where I'm comfortable with that. But there is also an advantage in the fact that I can touch on any part of the business and do something and make it work.
Mhm.
It's either not that I'm going to enjoy every part of the business doing, like for me, visiting with clients will be top priority of things that I enjoy most than sitting here and doing my paperwork. Although I don't do the client visits in a caregiving role now, but knowing that if it comes down to it, I can just get up and go help someone because I have the skills,
Mhm.
right? If I needed to like submit a claim because I didn't have staff or something, I know that, so there is a good thing in knowing all aspects of those, but it's good to be able to like just let go and give other people what they do best to do that,
Mhm.
you know.
Oh, there's
So
freedom in that.
I didn't get to that point sooner than I should.
All right. I think you and just
So,
about every entrepreneur out there,
yeah.
because I feel like there's a little bit of ego or pride and that we know how to do it. We're super awesome at doing it. So we're just going to do it because it's going to take me longer to explain to you how to do it. But then there comes a point where that can't scale. You can't grow
Yes, you cannot
because,
grow with that.
yeah, you only got 24 hours in the day. A few of those
Mhm.
hours you have to actually sleep. And it's cool to have a social life outside of work, whatever. And so
Yeah, and
eventually
I
you
think
just feel
also
like
we
you have
want
to.
to be protective of the business, like,
Very
until
true. Oh,
right.
so extremely true. Yeah.
Yeah, protective. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think there comes a time when
Mhm.
we have to realize that we have to delegate and we cannot assume that what we delegate is going to be done perfectly, or maybe perfectly is not the best word, but as exactly as we would have done it.
Yeah.
Maybe better, maybe worse, but we just have to trust or accept that some
Mhm.
things are going to be done differently than we would have done them.
Yep. And we
But
have to be okay with that.
right.
It took
And
me
they got
time to be
done.
okay with that.
Yeah.
But then when you experience it and it happens and oh, that went well, actually. That okay, that's going okay. That's
Hmm.
good. It's like, oh, okay, you know. So
Right. You're working
and
towards a
yeah,
higher quality problem.
right.
Lower laundry list. Cool. So as you grow, I imagine 76 employees, that I'm guessing you have to have other managers and stuff like that to
Oh
help
yeah,
you keep track of all that.
absolutely.
Can you tell us about hiring and training and keeping tabs on them to make sure that they're doing their job? How do you keep track of all that?
So that's a whole bunch of questions there.
Let's start with hiring a manager.
We'll dissect them
Yeah. Let's start with
one by
hiring one
one.
because
So
that's
hiring is a process where there's multiple layers to it, from when they submit the applications to the interview phase of the hiring and the reference check part of it. So there's all these layers, and then the background checks and, all that stuff, to a point where you get to, this is a good fit or this is not a good fit. So that happens. And then the other thing about management, to ensure that they are doing what they need to do, there's multiple ways that happens. One way is you have assigned supervisor. So that supervisor is responsible for that team that they supervise. So they know what the schedule is, they know who they are working with, and they can, mitigate that part. And the other part is that we also use an app where people, when they get to the client's place, they log in to that app, and they will also put in, when they are going, they will log out. But not only that, they will also be able to put in what we call visit notes, all the things that they've done while they are with the client. So again, that gives that supervisor a way to be able to see, and you can get on the app and see who's logging, who's not logging. And you, as a supervisor, whose schedule is what. So another way for quality assurance, to check on those things, to ensure and say, oh, you were supposed to be at this place, but I didn't see any login. What's going on? Are you at work? Are you not? Sometimes it might be that they're at work, but they forgot to log into the system, But again, that's how you keep track of what's going on.
All right. Interesting. Tell me about employees that you've had to deal with, or employee challenges. Because I imagine a no call, no show person at a fast food restaurant, you can you absorb it, right? The rest of the people that showed up, they got to work around that extra work, so to speak. But for something like you do, where I imagine a lot of it's one-on-one.
Yeah.
Do you have to have spare employees, or how do you work with that? Which I imagine it's become more common in the past few years, I think, but it's a thing. So how do you work with that?
Yeah. So if we have a call in, or you have a no call, no show, which is okay, you don't belong here if you're doing that. But I would say, if we have a call in, there is priority on how that is done. So say we have a call in with somebody who needs total care, right? Then you're going to have the team within, because not only one person works for that client and that's it. You have to have a backup for them. So you tap into that backup to see who's available there to go to that client, because those people are trained with that client. And if there isn't, if that individual, let's say, if that client is not a total care, they're independent, maybe they need just supportive home care, they need companionship. And then you have someone else who needs coverage for total care. Maybe this client who needs companionship staff is going to move to the one that needs total care, because that one cannot get out of bed if no one shows up. So obviously you kind of, at that point, you are working on priority of
sure. All right.
So it may not be that this individual who needs companionship is not going to get it, but they're not going to get it at noon when they needed it, when they wanted it that time, but they might get it at 3,
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just adapt, essentially.
That's right.
Got it. So one of the things that I find very interesting about the industry that you're in, and a lot of other industries where I would say that care and empathy are strong disciplines that you have to have. Those, I don't want to say that they necessarily go against direct entrepreneurship kind of thing, but typical entrepreneurship, you think of fierce driven growth mindset kind of thing, and they don't always coincide with empathy and care. But I can tell that you have both. How do you keep yourself sane having all of those qualities in your personality, where driven for growth with the business, but also caring for your employees and your clients?
You have to be able to do all of that in order to build a successful business. Where, like you said, we're in a care industry that calls for compassion and empathy. You have to be able to carry all of that and be caring, be very hands-on with things. But at the same time, that's where you need like the team. Because again, you cannot do it all.
Mm.
You have to have the right team, the right amount of people that can support what your needs are. And as you grow, you obviously add more to support those needs, that the growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said too, it's bringing the people with the skill set that you need. Because if you bring an accountant to do the caregiving, that may not work.
Not so hot. All right.
So, yeah. Or bring a caregiver to do accounting work, that may not work either. So
It'd probably be worse. Yeah.
Yeah. People put people where their skill sets are needed. And, so yeah.
All right. Tell me about the name. I've been meaning to ask you about this for years. And I just
Cairasu.
always forget until I get back in my car and think, I forgot to ask her about the name.
So Cairasu, it means peaceful home.
Oh,
It is a Mandinka language, and I'm from a Mandinka tribe.
all right. Peaceful home.
Peaceful home, Cairasu.
All right.
Yeah.
Do a lot of your clients know that? Or do they
They
let them
do
know
ask.
that?
Interestingly, they do ask. A lot of clients do ask on assessment. Like when people go in there to assess them, that's when they say, that name is different. What does it mean?
All right.
It's literally like you have to expect that that's going to come into conversation because people like to know.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's clever.
Yeah.
I like it. You lead me to ask a question that I guess it never really dawned on me. I have a son. We're shopping for daycares. And to me, that was the strangest thing in the world, because we're essentially shopping for a person to take care of our kid, which is just so weird.
I know.
And I imagine when you're shopping, so to speak, for someone to take care of a loved one that's older, now you got the same situation. Like, what should people look for in a company or an organization that's going to take care of their loved one? I didn't even know what to look for with my kid.
Yeah.
Looking for daycare, like, I guess you have a roof. I don't know.
Yeah. I would say be sure that they have the human capital.
Human capital. Okay. Do you mean number of
So they
employees?
have the staff. They have
Okay.
the staff.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of places that do not have staff. They can get you, and then the next thing you know, a few months down the line, you still care. Or you have it today, and then tomorrow you don't have it.
All right.
Because they don't have staff. So make sure that you know that this company have staff for what you need. Now that's one. Two, inquire if the company, how they train their staff. So again, skill sets become a thing. You want to know if the staff that is coming to work with your parents have the skill set that you need. That's another thing. Are these companies doing their due diligence to do all the vetting that they need as far as background check for the person that they're going to send to your parents' home? You want to know that. You want to also know, how do I communicate if something is not going right? What is the internal communication process? How does this process work? You want to also know that, so that you know, oh, this is the supervisor to my mom's care team. Let me call that individual. They will have the answer that I'm looking for, rather than call admin, and admin is like, oh, okay, wait, let me find out who this person's supervisor is, So, having those logistic basic things down would be important. But yes, if you want to know if they have staff, if that staff is skilled, did they do the background checks? And, I think those are important things that you should know.
Gotcha.
There are times that people inquire, oh, do you have insurance? Is it bounded? While I think that's important for your peace of mind, I honestly don't think anybody's going to operate something like this without insurance.
Hope not. Right?
Yeah. No, I doubt that would be, but you never know. Yes. I know people do ask questions like that, and I'm like, why you even ask that? Because you gotta have insurance to be able to do something like that. But yeah.
Part of the reason, and I'm speaking for people that I've never met before, but I can see myself asking that question because I didn't know what questions to ask. Where it's just one of those, I don't want to sound dumb, but in this case, I'm a moron. And I don't want to say like, I have no idea what to ask because I'm essentially buying from you. I mean, whatever. So I'm asking a salesperson what question to ask is not always ideal. So it's one of those like, you have insurance kind of thing. Because I want to ask some question, but I don't know what to ask. I wouldn't know what to ask. Because you're essentially asking like, hey, are you going to take care of my parent? Make them feel good, do everything they can to keep them alive and happy as long as possible. And I don't know that anyone can necessarily answer that easily because they've never experienced time with your parent. Maybe your parent's a pain in the butt. I don't know. There's so many variables that are based on human personality.
Yeah.
Where it's not just a black and white, like, hey, I can fix your car kind of thing because I know how to fix cars.
Right.
When you're taking care of a person, there's so much going on there.
And that is why insurance should be thought as already required. And it is already required, to do that.
Yeah.
Like your first example at the beginning of this discussion was like, you do printing stuff, right? So if you're a printer salesperson, that's completely different from providing healthcare services. So so insurance is critical in this case.
Yeah, well, even with printer repair, I had people ask me if I was insured, so I get it.
Yeah,
it is whatever, but
don't break my $1,000 printer without insurance, right?
Yeah, it was just
unless you have insurance to fix it,
I remember the first time that I got asked, and it was one of those like, yeah, I have insurance. Why? What could possibly happen where insurance would be involved? I'm just thinking like I take their machine apart and I just walk away. Is that a thing where insurance gets involved? Or you're just like, oh, that sucks, know? And it was a weird thing.
Yeah.
With people involved, it's a different story because your liability.
Liability with people, it goes way up.
Yeah, it's a different story. I mean, kudos to you because I can never do what you do. I can never do it. Because one, just taking care of people and the patience that's needed for that. I just have total respect for anyone that's in the field of care, teaching, any of that. So impressed by you guys.
Yeah.
On top of that, just dealing with the employees, working with them, hiring them. I mean, that's a whole nother thing. And then I imagine, like you said, you're taking care of someone for, I guess, I don't know how long you take care of them, if it's months or years, but you get a connection.
It varies. Some people, many years,
All right.
And some people can come within a week, you know, maybe,
Wow.
you know,
But still, that's the thing.
light care, you know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I had connections with
can.
my clients over printers. So I can only imagine if you're taking care of them on a way higher level,
Yes.
that when they go away, you know, they pass, whatever, that's got to be tough. And then you have to console your crew, but also get your crew like, we got to get back to work on to the next because we have more help to do,
I know.
more people
It's
to take
tough.
care of. I mean, that's a challenge.
That
Huge
part
kudos
is
to you.
hard.
I bet.
When you lose a client, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet. But I mean,
way.
that's kind of part of the, it's just nature of the business, I imagine.
Yes,
Right?
it is.
It's the reason you're there, or at least part of it.
Yeah, to support the individual, but also the families that you work with.
Mm-hmm.
But that piece can be tough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So Fatou, how can people find you?
How can people find me? At cairasucare.com. That is CAIRASU care.com.
CairasuCare.com.
Yeah, and I'm on social media sites, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Check me out. Yeah, that's where you can find me. And I also have a podcast, Super Aging.
Do you really?
I do.
How did I not know this? Oh my gosh.
Oh, now you know, James. Now you do.
Right? What's the name of the podcast?
Super Aging.
Did you say Super Aging?
Yes.
Super Aging. And can they find that typical podcast place?
Any podcast space, yes.
Awesome. How long have you been doing that?
About a year, less than 2 years.
All right. Well, super cool. Congrats on that. Every time I talk with you, there's something new and exciting that you have going on. I love this.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a way to just get the information out to people and, you know, educate people about senior care and, you know, how, especially dementia care, because people get frustrated with that. So
they're not asking crazy questions like, do you have insurance?
Yeah, they're not thinking about insurance. Deeper questions.
Go a little deeper. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Fatou.
Of course. Thanks for having me. This was great. It's good having conversation with you.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love talking with entrepreneurs. You have a great thing going on. It's impressive. I don't know how you do it, but kudos to you.
Well, thank you. You do a wonderful job too, working with people across this country. It's amazing what you do and help entrepreneurs get the word out. It's wonderful.
You know, I appreciate you saying that, but when I have awesome guests, it makes it easy. It makes it easy. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
This has been Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. We are locally underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie. If you're listening or watching this on the web, if you could do us a huge favor, you know what I'm going to ask, right? Give it the big old thumbs up, subscribe, and of course, leave a comment below and let Fatou and myself know what are some of the challenges that you've had with senior care for your family. What are the questions that you have? And just overall, are you excited about being an entrepreneur? Because that's a good thing, right? My name is James Cademan, and Authentic Business Adventures is brought to you by Calls on Call, offering call answering and receptionist services for service businesses across the country on the web at callsoncall.com. And of course, the Bold Business Book, a book for the entrepreneur and all of us, available wherever fine books are sold. We'd like to thank you, our wonderful listeners, as well as our guest, Fatou Ceesay, owner of Cairasu Home Care. I was combining words there.
Yeah,
Fatou, can you tell us that website one more time?
cairasucare.com.
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 Perfect. I love it. Past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night. The podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. Thank you for listening. We will see you next week. I want you to stay awesome. And if you do nothing else, enjoy your business.